this on and I'll turn my video back on. All right, cool. So we will give everybody a few minutes to get logged in. When you get here, please say hello in the chat box. Let me know where you are from so I know where you're watching from. We have a few moms in the group already. Of course, I am Christy Amason, owner of PowerFit Training and your host for tonight. So I'm super excited to talk to you guys. This is the second time I've done this masterclass today. So it went really, really well and had a lot of really good feedback from the other ones. So from the 2 o'clock one. So I'm super excited about it. So, okay. One phone call. All right. I see Jody. I see Marsali. So let me know that you can hear me okay. Just type in the hello and where you're from in the chat box. And we'll give a few people just a moment to log in before we get going. Minnesota. Awesome, Jody. Thank you for joining us. I imagine the weather there is fairly similar to what we have in Edmonton right now, which is crappy, cold, no good. I am ready to escape this cold weather for sure. Okay, so we'll give everybody about 3 minutes left, and then yeah, same here. I can imagine what it's like there. We'll give everybody a few minutes. We'll get kicked off at about 8:05. We'll just give everybody a few minutes. I know right now is kind of, if it's the same as it is in my house right now, it's bedtime. So I actually have a babysitter right now putting the kids to bed. My husband works out of town, so I've got a babysitter over helping me out tonight, which is awesome. Marsali from Edmonton, welcome. And I know Sherry's from Sherwood Park here. She's local. She's a friend of mine. So welcome, Sherry. I am really, really excited to talk to you guys about this tonight and share all this wonderful information. It's going to be super cool. So thank you for joining me. Any questions before we get started? How many kids does everybody have? Jody and Marsali, how many children do you have? Tell me a little bit about you before we get going. 1, awesome. 1 and expecting, fantastic. That's cool. This information is going to be really helpful, even during your pregnancy, Jody. So this is great that you're on. Yeah, Sherry. 3, 6, 2, 6 months. Yeah. Sherry's a baby mama. Keeps you on your toes, right, Sherry? All those kids. Bedtime is 6:30. Oh, I wish I could never get my kids to bed at 6:30. That would just never, ever happen. Okay. We'll wait just 1 more minute. Let other people log in. And if they come in late, it's no big deal. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to get rolling here because we have lots to talk about and I want to make sure that we don't have to rush through anything. So I am recording this webinar and you can ask me questions anytime throughout the webinar. Occasionally, I will ask you to raise your hand. If you're unsure as how to raise your hand, I believe if you go to participants and I think you can click more. No, I'm not sure how to do it. Lower all hands, chat. There is a way for you guys to raise. There you go. You raise your hands. Awesome. There you go, Jody. You got it. Was that Jody that raised your hand? Yeah. How did you do that? Can you type that in the chat box? I can never remember how to do it. I can do it when I'm like watching, but when I'm a host, I don't know how to do it. Okay, so while we're talking and while we're going through the presentation, you guys can raise your hands or you can type in, there's a Q&A box. So you can type in your questions into the Q&A box because at the end, we will definitely be doing a Q&A session and I'll be answering all of your questions that you have. Tap screen and there's a hand next to the chat bubble. There you go. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to share this presentation with you. So let's get rolling. Okay, so here we go. And I'm going to get rid of my video here too. Okay, there we go. All right, so ladies, here we go. We are doing sex, peeing, and six-pack abs. And I'm so excited to bring this presentation to you guys because there's so many things like this. There's so many topics like this that are affected during pregnancy, postpartum, and they don't get talked a lot about, or there's a lot of myths out there that are spread all over the place. And so I want to make sure that you guys are armed with as much information as you can be. One second here. There we go. Okay. So before we get started, here are a couple hashtags that you can use on your social media if you want during the presentation. If you want to take a picture or a video and you want to share it with your friends, you want to share it on social media, you can go ahead and do it and use these hashtags. And you can also tag me at EmpowerFitYeg in that photo. So today I wanted to start off, first of all, just by saying thank you so much for taking the time and making time for you, because that's what this presentation is really all about. It's about making time for you to learn about some really, really important topics that affect moms everywhere. And, for you in your busy lives and your busy, hectic. And like I said, I know right now is bedtime for a lot of people. So taking time out of your routine to make time for you is super important. And I want to say thank you for that. So having said that, let's do a little housekeeping. I want you just to take a moment to go ahead and go to the bathroom if you need to, grab a drink, whether it be water, maybe a glass of wine. Turn off your phones after you're done posting on social media that you're attending, and just minimize distractions as much as possible so that you can really enjoy and take in the information that we are going to be going through today. Okay. All right. So, mom, you are in the right place if you are ready to rock that mom bod with some confidence. Okay. We always talk about the mom bod, the mom bod, the mom bod, and we hear this, but what are some of the connotations with that word? I want you to feel sexy, strong, confident, everything when it comes to your mom bod. You're in the right place if you're concerned about your pelvic floor health, because this is a super, super common topic. Things like urinary incontinence or pelvic or prolapse, they happen all the time. And many women experience these things, but it's not commonly talked about. So if you have concerns about that, you're in the right place. Maybe you've been struggling with diastasis recti, that bulging or that gap in your abdominals. We're going to talk to that today. If you enjoy exercise and you want to, or maybe you just want to begin exercising after babies or during pregnancy, but you have questions, you're not really sure how to do this, what's safe, what's not safe, that sort of thing, kind of getting rid of some of the myths, then again, you are in the right place. So stay with me right to the end because we've got a lot to cover and I have some really special information for you at the end of this presentation. Okay, so we're going to talk about sex, peeing, and six-pack abs. What do they have in common? How are they going to be impacted during and after pregnancy? My strategies that I use with my clients, myself, everybody to improve your daily life and exercise quality. We're going to talk about my mom's return to training program. And of course, there's a special bonus at the end. So my name is Christy Amason. I'm the mom boss at EmpowerFit Personal Training. These are my two littles right here. This is Uriah, he's 8, and Hazel, she is 3, and they keep me on my toes. My third child is my husband, Ben. And so of course I'm kidding, but only, sort of. And really, my aha moment that I want to share with you guys tonight is I found my passion for postnatal coaching and advocating for moms soon after Hazel was born, because after she was born, I went through a really different experience than what I did with Uriah. I struggled with chronic low back pain, pelvic pain, hemorrhoids, incontinence, like you name it, I was dealing with it. I returned to exercise too quickly. I really felt lost when I was trying to sort out the right and wrongs. And it became super clear to me that there's a really large gap in helping moms return to exercise after pregnancy, as well as helping them during pregnancy. And it's really impacting women all over the world. So are you ready? Can I get everybody to use that hands up? Give me a rate. Can you raise your hand and just let me know that you are still here? You're ready? Yes. Awesome. Good. I love it. Okay. Wicked girls. Let's go. All right, next. Okay, so sex. Haha. This is the juicy topic that everybody was waiting for. And let's face it, sex is what got us all here in the first place. Am I right? You know, not just getting you signed up for the webinar, but sex is literally what got you to the place of being a mom, for most of us anyways. Obviously, there's different cases and scenarios in the way that we all get pregnant, but for the most part, this is how it happens. So we want to start with this first topic because during and after pregnancy, sex can really dramatically change. A lot of us may find that it becomes uncomfortable or maybe even painful, but we're not really sure why this is happening. So in order to understand how sex during pregnancy and after can be affected, we need to start taking a look at the pelvic floor and how it's impacted during pregnancy and postpartum. So this little pretty thing here is our pelvic floor. So I want you to say hi to pelvic floor because we're going to get really acquainted with it. And this is going to be, you know, something really informative that you need to know moving forward. So the pelvic floor is this little pretty bowl of muscles and it sits at the bottom of our pelvis. You'll see here, it extends all the way from the front to the back and all the way around. So it's not just in the front or in the back or in sides. It is a full bowl of muscles. It's not a tight mass of muscles either. It's not really droopy either. It's a dynamic, responsive group of muscles. They move and flex like any other muscle in our body. So if you think of a trampoline, it'll give you a good idea as to how the pelvic floor moves. It gently moves up and down. It has some flex and some give. And the pelvic floor can really be a huge influencer on things like orgasms. So we want to take care of this little friend and make sure that it's a good working order. Obviously, during pregnancy, the pelvic floor experiences a huge amount of trauma from carrying the load, you know, depending on how much weight we gain, how big our baby is. You know, there's so many variables that go into the load and the pressure that is down on our pelvic floor during pregnancy. Our hormones go completely wild. They also cause a laxity in our muscles and our fascia so that it allows our body to easily accommodate a baby. So that has a big impact on our pelvic floor. And then our lifestyle. Are you active? Do you stand a lot? Do you walk a lot? Maybe you were sick while you were pregnant and you had a really bad cough. Maybe you have allergies, you sneezed a lot. There's so many different things in our lifestyle that can, you know, lead to different traumas or have an impact on our pelvic floor, especially during pregnancy. And then I think it goes without saying, and you can see her face here, which I think we've all been at this part at some point, is during delivery, obviously, between the pressure, the hormones again, and then any additional trauma. Maybe you have tearing, maybe you've got, you had an episiotomy, that sort of thing. There's so many different variables that can go into the effects of delivery on your pelvic floor. So, and I think that goes really without saying. So needless to say, after pregnancy and after delivery, we might just have that look on our face that says, not so fast. You are not coming near us. I don't want you to touch me. I don't want you to go anywhere down there because it's just not comfortable and it's just not appealing to us, which is, for a few weeks, is okay. But after a while, it's time to let things heal up and get going down there. So now, during or after pregnancy, many women will experience or may experience a heaviness or a bulging feeling in their vagina. And often this is a sign of pelvic organ prolapse, meaning that one or more of the pelvic organs has descended into the wall of the vagina, and this is usually due to a weakened pelvic floor. So you can see these 4 different photos here. So the top left is our normal anatomy. You can see everything's tucked up where it needs to be. The top right is a cystocele or a bladder prolapse. So the bladder is pushing down into the wall of the vagina. So you'll see it's not actually coming out of the vagina. It's just pushing into the wall, which causes that bulging feeling. Then in the bottom right, we have the uterine prolapse, where the uterus is actually coming down and out of the vagina. And then the bottom left is where we have our recticele, which is where our rectum is actually pushing down into the wall of the vagina. So obviously all of these are super uncomfortable. And many women will describe this bulgy feeling like maybe having a tampon in, or even feeling like just something is falling out of their vagina. Depending on the severity and type of prolapse a mom could be experiencing, the sensation and the discomfort will really vary. 50% of females will experience some degree of prolapse at some point in their lives. This is so common that even though you may not be experiencing it, someone you know absolutely will be. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't hear the term prolapse or a discussion around prolapse out there very often, unless you're really speaking to a pelvic health physio or someone that's experienced it already. There's not a lot of conversation or awareness out there about prolapse. And if you think 1 in 2 women is experiencing some form of prolapse, this is really a conversation that we need to be having. And not to gain fear from it, but just to gain awareness so that if we are, or somebody we know is experiencing prolapse, then we know that there is help and there is support and there is recovery from it. It's not once you have it, it never goes away. It is absolutely something that you can heal and recover from. So, of course, something like prolapse can create pain and discomfort during sex. And this hinders our desire to have sex with our partner. And not only does this make it a physical condition then, but now it's also turned into a mental concern, right? According to a study done in 2010, women who are experiencing any form of pelvic floor dysfunction are more likely to feel self-conscious, they're less likely to feel sexually attractive, and have a much harder time looking at themselves naked. These are some really serious repercussions. And, we think about sex as something that's fairly taboo still in, our culture. But it's something that we really need to talk about because this can impact a relationship quite severely. When we talk about pelvic floor dysfunction and pelvic pain also affects 1 in 4 to 1 in 2 women who exercise. So if you're a mom who is active, maybe you enjoy going to the gym, maybe you're a runner, maybe you like to do Zumba, whatever it is you like to do, or maybe you're hoping to become more active during your pregnancy or after, then this can be a deterrent for you to engage in new activities or even returning to physical activity. So we don't want that to be happening. And if you are active or if you aren't active, then obviously you're more likely to become sedentary. Hello to the couch, hello to Netflix and chill, hello to that big bag of chips. And this leads to gaining weight. And when we do become sedentary, when we do gain weight, then these can affect symptoms like prolapse, like urinary incontinence, those sort of things. So this makes it a really frustrating and vicious cycle. But when you have a smart strategy and a responsible return to exercise after babies or during pregnancy, you really greatly improve your chances of decreasing prolapse risk symptoms and pelvic pain. So with a program like Moms to Return to Training, it makes it super vital and it allows you to have a really good return to health and wellness and gives you all the tools that you need. Sorry if you can hear my dog whining in the back. He's not sure why I'm in here without him. All right. So this is so far, it's a lot to process. So I know there's a lot of information. If you have questions, please make sure you write them in the Q&A box. And if you want to just raise your hands one more time. So I know you're all with me, you can all hear me. Good. Sherry. Awesome. Marsali. All right. Anybody else? Perfect. Kennedy, Jody. Wonderful. Good. All right. Let's move on. Oh, Elise, how's it going, girl? Welcome. Okay, on to the peeing portion of the masterclass. So, we see memes like this all the time. And are they funny? Yeah, of course they're funny. We almost have to laugh to make sure that we get through something like this. But really, when it comes to it, urinary incontinence of any sort is not something that we want to have as a laughing matter. We do not want to normalize it so that people think that it is just a normal thing. We don't want to make it a laughing. It's not funny to me when I hear about a mom whose quality of life is affected by the fact that she can't control her pee. So again, this is something that is super common, but it is not normal. So say those words with me: common, but not normal. And when you hear your friends or your family talking about their urinary incontinence, maybe they leak when they're sneezing or coughing or jumping or running or lifting, whatever it might be, tell them this is super common, but it is not normal, and there is help for this. 50% of postpartum women have reported that they were greatly affected by urinary incontinence. So again, just like prolapse, this is a lot of women, 1 in 2 women. And of course, this affects our willingness to travel. So if we know we're going on a long road trip or maybe on a plane ride, whatever it might be, depending on where we know those bathrooms are, if we have a hard time controlling our urine or our bladder, we're not going to want to be doing stuff like this. It can affect the way we dress, because now if we're having to wear pads, etc., this can really impact what we're feeling comfortable in. We want to wear baggier clothes, that sort of thing. It can affect our desire for physical and sexual relationships. And of course, it can affect our participation in sports and physical activities like exercise. So, and again, if a mom is avoiding exercise because of symptoms, again, she has a greater likelihood of weight gain, which again just impacts the symptoms, and we get into that vicious cycle again. So urinary continence is actually a sign of pelvic floor dysfunction, but it's often made worse by practicing things like Kegels. So the reason for this is because most women are actually doing Kegels incorrectly. So we're going to go through the technique that I use with all of my clients a little bit later, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, because it's a common myth that urinary leakage and incontinence happens from a weak pelvic floor. And I see this all the time on social media. Trainers or women will say, oh, my pelvic floor was like a smashed egg, or there was nothing left of my pelvic floor after pregnancy. But in fact, this leakage often happens because we have an overactive pelvic floor. So not only do we have to learn how to strengthen our pelvic floor, but we have to know how to relax it. Is just as crucial as to knowing how to activate it. If you are active before, during, or after pregnancy, you'll typically have a higher chance of experiencing stress urinary incontinence. And that's the type of incontinence that usually shows itself during activities like running, jumping, skiing, and lifting. So that is a lot of activities that are impacted by the possibility of being ourselves. And when we have that, in the back of our minds, it really, really greatly impacts our quality of life. So even if we are not experiencing urinary incontinence now, there's a 30% chance that we could become incontinent 5 to 7 years later. Now, I don't want to say this again, I don't want to say this to scare you, but it's about being aware that even though we don't have symptoms now, those symptoms can pop up later if we aren't taking the right precautions and doing the right things now to ensure our greatest success at being symptom-free later on in life. And usually this is because, there's a lack of education out there for moms by doctors and fitness professionals on how to care for our pregnant and postpartum bodies. But if you're concerned about leakage now, or the chance that you may become incontinent later, progressing through a smart postnatal exercise program like my mom's return to training, it's really essential for giving your body its best chance to function without these embarrassing symptoms, and not just now, but later on in life. Okay, so that's super exciting information. All right, and that was I think for a lot of you, probably a big knowledge bomb, because a lot of people, again, really think that the urinary stress incontinence comes from a weak pelvic floor. But in fact, maybe it means that your pelvic floor is just going on too tight all the time. So give me your hands up one more time, and we are going to hop into the 6-pack abs portion. Awesome. Good. Oh, good. I see a few more ladies have joined us. Wonderful. Welcome, ladies. Okay, so we are going to get into the 6-pack abs and diastasis recti, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. Okay, so I know diastasis is just like so hot right now. Everybody wants to talk about diastasis. Everybody has a miracle move. Everybody has a way for you to avoid it, and on and on and on and on. So this is a really big topic. We spend quite a bit of time on this. So let's get right into it. So first of all, a diastasis is when we have the thinning and stretching of the linea alba. And the linea alba is the connective tissue. It's mostly made up of collagen, and it runs from your sternum all the way down to your pelvis. So you can see here in this mom, she has a doming or a coning or a pooching effect here in the middle of her abdomen. And that's because there is pressure coming out on that weakened tissue there. So something to remember is that the linea alba is actually mostly made of collagen, and collagen is like, I want you to think of it like a hair elastic. If you stretch a hair elastic, you can stretch it really, really far, and it goes back almost to the same shape, but you can never get it to return to exactly the same shape it was. Once you stretch out that rubber band, it never goes right back to the same shape, and that's exactly how collagen is. So that kind of gives you an idea as to how your diastasis works as well. A lot of moms, when they come to me, they'll say, maybe they're 6 months, a year, maybe even 2, 3, 4 years later or further. And they'll say, Christy, I still look pregnant. Why do I still look pregnant? I've been doing sit-ups, I've been doing core work, I've been doing planks, I've been doing all these different things, and I can't get my belly to go away. And right away, that is a cue for me to check for diastasis and how they're managing it. Obviously, this is something I check all the time, but that just gives me the cue that something is going on because, and let's face it, none of us want to look pregnant after we've already been pregnant. We want to go back to our old bodies. So that's definitely something that we check right away. So a diastasis, it'll create a break, if you want to call it, in our core canister. And then this can, of course, lead to some issues if it's left unmanaged. So our core canister is this nice little diagram here. You'll see it's got the top, which is the diaphragm. It's got the bottom, which is the pelvic floor muscles. And then the front or the sides is the transverse abdominals, which is our deepest layer of abdominal muscles. They act sort of like a corset, and they stabilize the core, which is this whole center of our body, and it prepares it for movement. So it anticipates movement from our limbs and gets ready to stabilize our core. And then the multifidus muscles are these little tiny spine stabilizers that go all the way up the spinal, or up the vertebrae to help stabilize our spine. All right, so let's get into some diastasis myth busting, and this is one of my favorite things to go through because, again, I hear so much false information out there, and it's just so super important to make sure that you guys have the right information, that you know what information to consider and how to think critically about everything that you see on social media and beyond. So the first myth that we're going to talk about is that you should do X, Y, and Z to avoid diastasis. And first of all, I want to start by saying that you cannot avoid diastasis. Diastasis, actually, research has shown that it happens at some level in every single woman that becomes pregnant. It's required. We need that diastasis. We need that thinning and stretching of the tissue in the linea alba to allow our belly to grow, to make room for our growing baby. So if you see something saying, oh, do this to avoid diastasis, that's not the right wording. That's not correct. So I would be definitely wary of who is promoting that and the implications of those exercises that might have it, because you cannot avoid diastasis. Number two is it's all about the size of the gap. And we hear this all the time, oh God, I have a 2-finger gap. And oh my gosh, I have a gap in my abdominals. And, this causes a lot of fear because this has really been, taught to everybody out there that, oh my gosh, if you have a gap in your abdominal, something's wrong and you're going to get hurt and this is wrong. And it's all about the size of the gap. And I want you to understand that the gap does matter, but that's not what's the most important part of this puzzle. The most important part is more about the tension of the linea alba. Can you create tension using the right techniques to hold your abdominals together to create a nice tight midsection? Or does it stay lax? Can you press your fingers down into it when we're doing an assessment? Does it cause that doming, that bulging, that coning that we saw in that first picture? So that's really when I do an assessment on any client, or I teach you how to do the self-assessment, which we do in the Moms Are Trying to Train program. There's videos for that. We're looking more for the tension. We do want to understand the size of the gap because it does matter on some level, but we also want to really pay a lot of attention to the tension. All right. So number 3 is crunches, planks, and twists are all bad for diastasis. And I will, guilty as charged here. When I was first starting as a postnatal trainer, a lot of the information that I was taught, and this was only, 3 years ago, was exactly this, that crunches, planks, twists are all bad. And you'll still hear that a lot on a lot of postnatal training websites, a lot of those social media pages. You'll hear like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. But I learned from a very, very smart man that it really depends. If you are a mom, we hear a lot too, a crunch isn't a functional exercise. Well, then how do you get out of bed? How do you get off the floor? Because that's how I do it. I do it in a crunching motion a lot of times, especially when it's the middle of the night and the baby cries and you bolt out of bed, your body comes up in a crunch position before you even think about it. So if you can manage the tension and your diastasis without symptoms, without doming, bulging, coning, that sort of thing, then why can't you do a crunch? I want to make sure that you have as much variability in your exercise program and in your movement library as possible. I don't want you to think that you can only do these 5 exercises because the rest might be bad for you. We want to make sure that depending on how your body responds to different exercises, that you have the ability to choose what you want to do and have as much variety as possible. So you'll hear me say it depends a lot if I'm answering questions, because it really gets down to how each mom, reacts in different movements and different exercises. All right. So hands up. Who wants to know how this all ties together? Show me a hand. Let me know you're still there. Awesome. Good. Perfect, ladies. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So I love these gifts. They never get old. I could just sit here and watch them and I just get a kick out of them. I had lots of fun putting this stuff onto the slides for you guys. So okay, so what is the common link between sex, peeing, abs, and postnatal exercise? Well, this might surprise you, and I have talked about this on my social media quite a bit because it's definitely the number one thing that I kind of, hammer into my clients, but it's also that thing that I find that women have the hardest time grasping or understanding, but it can have the biggest impact on what you're doing in your day-to-day life and also in your exercise. And the answer is, drum roll please, pressure. So we learned earlier that the core canister, if you remember from the diagram, it's made up of a top, a bottom, and the sides, right? It's just like a pop can. So if we call it our core canister, just like any core, closed canister, like a pop can or whatever it might be, pressure can have a huge impact on the integrity of the structure. So when we have intra-abdominal pressure, this can greatly impact our pelvic floor function, which again goes back to affecting our sex and our pelvic organ function. And then it can also have an impact on our core function. So it can affect our core integrity. But what does this all mean, Christy? What am I supposed to do with this information? So does this mean that there's a right or wrong way to breathe? Well, not really. Again, we're going to go back to this, it depends, but it's important for us to be aware of how we are breathing during different activities and especially during exercise, so that we can minimize the effects of the pressure on our body. Obviously, you're never going to get it 100% all the time. Even me, I practice, this technique that we're going to go through later all the time, and I still find myself exercising and not doing it. But it's just letting you have that knowledge that you can be aware of it. And again, it's not my goal today to make you scared of breathing the wrong way or stressing you out about having to breathe the right way. There is no right or wrong. I just want you to know how to connect your breath to your core and how to control your pressure when you feel like you really need to. All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to go through my breathing technique. And again, as we do it, we're going to take a few minutes to practice it. I'm going to walk you through it a few times. And if you have questions, please type them in the Q&A box and I'll get to them as soon as we're done the session. We have a Q&A section. All right, so step 1, we're going to inhale. Seems pretty easy, right? But what I want you guys to do is I want you to put your hands on the sides of your ribs, and instead of just breathing in, I want you to breathe in and expand your rib cage to the sides, to the front, and to the back, just like you're filling up a giant balloon, but I want it to fill up from all 4 sides. So put your hands on your ribs, take a few deep breaths, and just feel, is it difficult? A lot of us are chest breathers. We breathe really high into our chest. Maybe you're a belly breather and you breathe into your belly a lot. None of these are wrong, but I want, for this purpose, for this exercise, I want you to focus on just breathing into your ribs, feel it expand all the way around from the front, all the way to the back and out the sides. Okay, so take a few breaths, feel that on your ribs. The next step that we're going to do is on that inhale, I want you to imagine you're relaxing your pelvic floor. I love this little frog guy. He's got his hands on his belly. It's perfect. So what we're going to do is while you're inhaling and filling your ribs, you're going to think back to that diagram of that little bowl of muscle in your pelvis. And you're going to think about either maybe a relaxed jellyfish bobbing in the water. Remember, it's like a trampoline, so it moves up and down gently. Maybe you want to think about a blooming flower opening and closing. Or maybe you want to think of an umbrella, open and closed umbrella. I want you to find something that resonates with you. And every inhale, I want you to feel that pelvic floor relax and descend down. Okay. Don't worry too much about what's happening on the exhale right now. I just want you to inhale and focus on the relax. Because remember, a few slides back, we said that the relaxed part of it, the relaxing, is as important as being able to activate and contract it. Okay. So inhale, step one, and then, so inhale, relax the pelvic floor. Then on the exhale, I want you to think about lifting your pelvic floor. Now, you're not going to just lift it. I want you to imagine that core canister, and that bottom of that core canister is that nice little bowl of pelvic floor muscles. So on that exhale, you're going to lift that pelvic floor gently up towards the center of that core canister. So you're going to inhale, relax the pelvic floor, exhale, and gently lift. Super important. Do not clench. Okay. This is not about how tight we can raise our pelvic floor or clench our pelvic floor. This is just getting you connected to it so that when you inhale, you relax, exhale, bring it up gently. Okay. You can practice that a few times. Now, the last step to all this is I want you to feel, so you're going to inhale, relax, exhale, lift, and then you're going to feel your hip bones just come slightly together, just pulling your hip bones just slightly together in the front. And this is just going to engage those transverse abdominals and the abdominals acting kind of like a corset. So step one, inhale, relax, exhale, lift the pelvic floor, and then gently hug those hip bones around that bowl of muscles. Okay. So I have a question for you. Did you lift your pelvic floor from the front and the back? Raise your hands if you lifted from the front and the back. Nobody. Okay. How many lifted their pelvic floor just from the front? Raise your hand. Yes. Okay. Exactly. Okay. So this is where the Kegels can get us into trouble, because the Kegels focus on a cue based around stopping the flow of urine. That's what you hear a lot. Just focus on the squeeze like you're stopping your pee. Well, that only gets a small part of the pelvic floor, right? We want to make sure that we're connecting with the whole thing. So we have to know that when we're doing it, we are going from the back, front, middle, and then lifting it up together. Okay. So I want you to try it again. I want you to inhale, relax, exhale, lift, back, front, middle together. Okay. Try it one more time. Inhale, relax, exhale, lift, back, front, middle together. Okay. It takes practice. This is not something that comes usually naturally to most people. I find it takes a lot of practice and a lot of connecting, but that's the fun about this, is it's getting to know your body, getting to understand how everything works together. And I love kind of when the light bulb goes on for most moms, when they can feel it actually connect. So, and again, most of us, we have that notion that more is better, the tighter, the better, the longer we hold it, the better. And again, you need to do this in balance. The relaxed part of it is as important as the lifting part of it. We don't want to be overstimulating the pelvic floor. So make sure that the relaxing is happening as well as the activating. All right. So let's talk about what most coaches get wrong when it comes to postnatal training, because a lot of coaches out there, and it's not for lack of not wanting to know better, but postnatal training is not a popular topic. It's starting to gain a lot of traction now, but there's just not a lot of really educated information out there to help trainers become more aware of it. It's definitely starting more, but there's not still a lot of trainers out there that just don't know about postnatal training and how creating that pressure in our core canister and all the different issues that can lead to. So often when I see moms working out, they'll be bearing down and creating that pressure downwards towards the pelvic floor or towards the linea alba. And this happens even if they feel like they're exhaling and lifting their pelvic floor, they're still not able to really realize how to fully do it. So again, it's something that takes practice. So without the proper coaching and programming, a lot of moms often find themselves like really frustrated, and then they're injured, or maybe they're just confused as to really what's best for postnatal training or even prenatal training too, because a lot of this stuff applies to the same thing. So it's really important. I think for me as a coach, I find it really important to incorporate a breathing strategy like the one we just did into your postnatal exercise, but also in your day-to-day life. So when you're lifting up your babies, when you're lifting groceries, when you're squatting to, take something out from the wherever, wherever you're moving and creating pressure, I want you to focus on, using this breath. And I think you'll find that it feels really good. But when you're exercising, it's important to find how does it work best for you when you're doing a thing, doing squats, deadlifts, pushes, presses, every single movement. And this is really the number one lesson that I try to drive home in the Mom's Return to Training program. Postpartum is forever, moms. We cannot out-train postpartum, okay? This is, and it was so great because I had a mom in the webinar earlier this morning. Her name's Lindsay. She's a yoga instructor, and she is 22 months postpartum, and she was just, it was like seeing her, it was like freeing a butterfly. She was just so happy that, I was able to kind of just give her the permission to say, postpartum is forever. My body is forever changed. And that's okay. It's just now, we just need to be aware of it, and we need to respect that. And then really the sooner that we embrace that our body, once it's postpartum, is always postpartum, the sooner we can, really see the benefits of that. All right. So, why did you show up today? So I want you to think back to when you signed up for this webinar and when you saw the ad for it and when you signed on today. Why did you show up? What was the reason for you to come today? Maybe you're new or an experienced mom. Again, I want you to be able, maybe you're ready to just rock that mom bod with confidence that we talked about earlier. Maybe you're concerned about your pelvic floor health. Maybe you've got some common issues like the urinary incontinence or the pelvic organ prolapse like we talked about earlier. Maybe you're struggling with the diastasis recti, or maybe you're already exercising, but you need some support for breastfeeding while exercising. You're looking for some new ways to improve your strength and increase your energy, or maybe you're looking for a program that you can do at home or have the option to do it at the gym. And how do I make this all happen? How do I put together everything that we've just covered? Because we covered a lot of information today. We covered all the information about sex, prolapse, that sort of pelvic floor dysfunction. We talked about, diastasis. We talked about urinary incontinence. And so how do we put this all together? How do we see results? How do we start making a change? Put your hands up if you're ready for some change, if that's why you're here. Awesome. Yes. Good. Okay, cool. And again, like I said, go ahead and write any questions that you have along the way in that chat box, because we're going to have a Q&A here right away. So, well, obviously, number one, you can, start getting off that struggle bus. The tools that you need and the support that you need is here. You can definitely keep doing what you're doing. You can keep trying out different methods. You can use all the information that you're sorting through on social media, but really, there's no need to, because I have the answer for you, and it's my Mom's Return to Training program. I'm not going to brag too much, but I'm going to tell you this program seriously is the bomb. This program is my passion project. It's like a fourth child to me. And I really put a lot of information, heart, and passion into this. So Mom's Return to Training is that must-have program for moms at any stage. So whether you're a new mom, pregnant, or an experienced mom, and you want to improve your strength and function, you want to reduce and heal some symptoms, and you want to rock that mom bod with confidence. I love that saying, rock your mom bod with confidence. Maybe I'll get a t-shirt with that on. So let me introduce you to the program a little bit. I'm going to tell you kind of just a quick rundown of what it's all about. And again, if you have questions, please type that in the Q&A box. So in the program, we've got 9 full-length workouts. These are programmed over a 12-week period. So there's 3 new workouts every single month, and the workouts are programmed into modules. So they're strategically progressed. So you start at a certain level and you work your way through all the way through the 12-week period. They are self-paced with modifications for all levels of ability. So whether you're an athlete or a mom who hasn't worked out in years, you can do these exercises and still get a really awesome workout. There's video tutorials of all the exercises. I've linked them all for easy access. So no matter what you're using, a phone, tablet, computer, you can check the videos for all the exercises really simply. All the workouts can be done from home or in a gym setting, minimal equipment to super make it simple for you guys. I primarily coach moms that work out at home. So all of my workouts are able to be done at home. But if you want to take it into the gym setting, switch it up, use some different equipment, you absolutely can do that. And I show you how. There's rehab. You can rehab and improve your pelvic floor health and heal or avoid those common pelvic floor dysfunctions that we talked about, like urinary incontinence. You can achieve that full body strength and increase your energy. This was one of the number one things that I got from moms when I talked to them earlier this year, was they wanted to feel more energetic through their day-to-day life. I mean, being a mom is really freaking tough. And so anything that we can do to make sure that we have that extra energy to get through our day without feeling like we're bagged is awesome. And this program is going to help you do that. There's yoga flows in here. If you didn't see today, I chatted with Jillian Brittany. She is my yoga goddess, and she does yoga flows for moms. And she was kind enough to dedicate some yoga flows to this program. So Moms to Return to Training, a little bit about it. So you get lifetime access to this program. So when I update it or I add content, because you're a member, you will always have access. You don't ever pay any extra money, and the program never expires. You never lose access. I've already got a private Facebook community going with other moms that have joined in the last week. That way you can go in there and you can connect with other moms, and there's moms all over the world in there. So it's really cool because you can get in there, share your stories, talk about the program, and just really get to know each other. It's really awesome having that community of moms out there that know what you're going through. There's breastfeeding and exercise facts contributed by my friend Bethany. She's a certified lactation consultant. So if you're a new mom, or maybe you're pregnant now and you want to be doing the program when your baby arrives, there's information in there about how to manage your breastfeeding and exercises, and a lot of common myths that you can avoid. There's exercises that have been proven to help heal and repair diastasis recti. So again, we can't avoid it, but we can definitely help it heal and repair itself. And so my program takes that into account. There's definitely some nutrition in there. There's videos, there's meal planning inspirations, recipes, a bunch of different stuff. And then because I love to train my glutes and my core, I added 4 bonus circuits into the program for you as well. So that makes a total of 13 workouts in the program. And because you guys have joined me tonight, I have a special link just for people that signed up for the webinar. And the first 25 people to use this link to purchase the program, you are going to get a free live coaching session with me. So not like this where it's only me talking. It's going to be a live coaching session where we get on video, we see each other, we talk to each other, and we're going to go through exactly what you're, going through in the program, and really hone in on exactly what you need. And I'm going to be there to support you along the way. So that's super exciting. All right. So what is this investment in this program? The investment is only $47, you guys, and that's a one-time payment. Okay. The one-time payment, $47. You get access to the program for the lifetime of the program, never goes away. And like I said, if I change or update or improve anything in the program, you never pay additional charges. It's just your one-time payment and you are in. So here is the link to get in. So you can go ahead and copy and paste this if you want. I'm going to show it to you again at the last slide. Again, like I said, I've got this link, the first 25 people to use this link. And again, I had a webinar at 2:00. So there's other moms that have been using this. So there's only a few spots left. So use this code. You have until noon tomorrow to use this code to get in. And if you are in one of the first 25, you'll get that free coaching call with me as well. So this whole program, it's a value of over $1,000. So I coach people in person as well. And if you were to come to me in person, coach with me at my home studio and get all this information, it's easily over $1,000 worth of information in here. I've packed in so much because it is a DIY program. I wanted to give you every single little tidbit of information and support that I could make sure that you have. So it's all in there. There is really nothing that I haven't put into this program. So I'm super excited. What happens after you buy the program? So after you buy, you'll get an email, super simple. You'll get an email, username, password, link to the portal, boom, you're in. Once you're in there, it's all laid out so beautifully. I'm so proud of this portal. It's amazing. And it's all laid out by module. So there's a getting started section, there's a bonus section, and then there's weeks 1 through 4. And you must progress based on the date that you join. You'll be progressed through 1 to 4, then 5 to 8, and then 9 to 12. So you know exactly when to progress, when to move on, and work through the program. So I'm super excited. All right, here's a couple just testimonials from some moms that did the beta test with me a few weeks ago. Gabby's a huge one, just the pain. You'll see this one here where she woke up without pain for the first time in 7 months. And that was just from the breathing technique that we went through today. She practiced it for a week and had huge, huge results just from the breathing technique. Jen, she's an athlete. She worked out a lot prior to her kids, and she found that these workouts were so great because they didn't make her feel overwhelmed. They were a good enough challenge for her. And, in general, just everybody's having a really great time with this program that's in it already. So I'm so, so proud of it, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. So again, here is the link to get in. I am going to just minimize this a little bit. I'll leave this up on the screen, but I want to get into your questions here. So let's get into the chat. All right. Okay. Da, 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 da. All right. So it says, Kennedy, I started CrossFit last year and I had trouble leaking. I have signed up with Girls Gone Strong as well. Is your program comparable? Yes, my program is comparable. I haven't gone through, so I got the Girls Gone Strong coaching program last year. I wanted to see what it was like compared to the program that I've already been through. And it was basically written by the same person. So it was very similar. So yeah, so if you have the Girls Gone Strong program, it's very comparable. The only difference, of course, will be every postnatal coach has a different point of view on coaching. So our workouts will be a little bit different. Also, the contributors for my program will be different. So I have yoga in my program, which I don't believe Girls Gone Strong does. I could be wrong, but I'm not familiar with the bonuses that they've got. I also, again, have the breastfeeding and exercise and the sleep support in there. And, so there's a lot of different things that my program will have that theirs doesn't. And there will be things that their program doesn't have that mine does. So I would say, just get both. They're awesome. Jennifer, I bought around 6 tonight. Does that count? It totally does, Jen. I saw that you had signed up for the webinar already. So yes, definitely you are on that list of 25 to get that coaching call. So welcome to the program. I'm so excited. All right. So I'll go to the Q&A box here. Candace. Okay. It says, I'm having lower back, very low back, almost bum pain. Would this be related to pelvic floor? So because that's, you know what, there's no way for me to say for sure, Candace, but there's obviously a very likely chance that could be related. I always recommend that everybody sees a pelvic floor physio in conjunction to any program that they do. So you can do the Mom's Return to Training without seeing a pelvic floor physio right away. It's not an issue. But when you see a pelvic floor physio and you get that internal exam, it just gives you that much more power and knowledge and information about your body so that you can best know how to manage symptoms or what you're feeling and what it might mean. So if you have very low back pain, I definitely dealt with a lot of low back pain afterwards, and it could be related to pelvic floor. It could be related to core strength. There's so many different things that can go into it. So when you're doing a program like Mom's Return to Training, because we take all of that and put it into one really solid program that factors in everything, I think that you'll find practicing the breathing and then doing the program as I've laid it out, you'll probably feel that you have, and incorporating the yoga as well, that you'll have some really good results with that. So that's exciting. And thank you for asking that question. So feel free to type in any more questions. I'm going to go through a couple more frequently asked questions here. So again, one of the most important questions that I get is, I am pregnant now and I want to do the program. Can I buy it now? Does it ever expire? No, the program never expires. Once you have the program, it's yours forever. You're part of the family. It never goes away. And if you're pregnant now, I encourage you to get the program and start doing the program now, unless your doctor's, recommended that you don't exercise. The program is absolutely safe for moms who are pregnant. And we'll talk about that, once you're in the Facebook community. If you have questions, maybe you have to modify something based on your current situation, we can definitely help you out with that, because I will be in the Facebook community coaching once a week and answering questions for the next little while. So definitely, that's a good question. There's also, again, we talked about what kind of equipment do I need for the program. So again, you don't need a lot of equipment for the program. All you need is a resistance band, a mini band. And then of course, I always suggest to my moms, I get like a set of light, like a pair of light dumbbells, one medium dumbbell and one heavy dumbbell. And those aren't necessarily needed right away, but you'll definitely want them as you progress through the program, to increase the intensity, and then once you get to weeks 5 to 8, 9 to 12, of course, it all builds and your strength will improve. So you're going to eventually need some lighter, some heavier weights, but you can definitely start with the mini band and the resistance band, and that will get you a good start. So you don't need a lot of equipment. Another question I get a lot is, I pee a little when I run, sneeze, cough, or jump. Will this program help? Absolutely. So Mom's Return to Training is built around making sure that there's no exercises that are, there's no plyometrics, there's no jumping, there's no high impact exercises in here. It's all based around strength training, focusing on, strengthening the abdominals, the core stabilizers, the glutes, but full body, right? We don't just use specific muscles in our day-to-day life. We need to function well from head to toe and be strong from head to toe when we're moms. So that is definitely how the program is set up, so that you can get in there and get a full body exercise. But these exercises and the breathing techniques and all the different bonus videos that I have in the program will help you to deal with symptoms like urinary incontinence and progress past them. Are there modifications for each exercise in case I can't do what's programmed? Yes, I have listed regressions or progressions. So maybe you'll find that one of the exercises in the programs is too easy. So I've told you different ways in how to make it more difficult, make it more challenging if you're already at that level. Or if you find that it's too difficult, how you can actually regress it to make it easier. This program is really about where you guys are at, respecting the stage of pregnancy or postpartum that you're in right now. I don't want you to ever feel like the program is something you have to shy away from, or, I see a lot of programs that you have to do 100 of these, 100 of that, and 100 of these. And that's not what this program is about. It's about, you have a range of reps and sets to do. You do what's challenging for you, and that's all that matters. And this program is for you. There's nobody else watching. It doesn't matter what anybody else does or thinks. It's your program. So that's super important for me and for you to remember when you're in there. I just had a baby. How soon can I begin the program? Well, I want everybody to always wait until they're cleared for exercise from their doctor. Usually this is around 6 to 8 weeks. And once you're cleared, you can get right into this program. It is set up so that, like I said, there's no high impact exercises, and everything in there is modifiable so that you can work at your level. So you can start as soon as your doctor says that you are cleared for exercise. This program is safe and you are good to go. How do I access the program? Like we talked about before, this is all housed on a web portal. So you'll get a password and a username and a link as soon as you purchase the program. You'll get right in and everything is laid out for you. And you can access this anywhere, on your phone, on a tablet, on a computer. And it's fantastic because you go in, you just click the box and it just has everything there. There's buttons and links to everything that you need. There's videos to watch. There's PDFs that you can download and print out. If you don't want to be looking at a screen all the time, you can go in and print off the documents. It is just laid out so beautifully and so simply for you guys. I wanted it to be super easy and user-friendly. So the portal is there and it's ready to go. And like I said, as the program evolves and becomes better and I get new information, I'm going to be in there posting and ready to share that with you guys once you're in there. So it looks like it's time to wrap this up. Again, everybody has got until noon tomorrow to use this link right here to purchase the program. By using that link and getting your purchase by for noon tomorrow, if you are one of the first 25 people to do so, you will get a free coaching class or free coaching call with me to work through the program and get you set up for your best success. So I'm super excited. I will be sending out this recording of the webinar for you tonight. So watch your email for that. Do we have any more questions before we say goodnight? All right. Raise your hands. Give me a wave. Good night, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Have a great night, and we will hopefully see you in the Moms Return to Training community. All right. I've got one here in the chat box. Thank you, Sherry. Okay. We'll talk to you guys all later. Thanks, Jody. Have a great night, ladies. All the best.